Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Budget Workshop number 2. We'd like to start off the evening. I'll call the meeting to order, and clerk, can you do a roll call, please?
Chair Pep,
Present.
Legislator Kelly,
Present.
Legislator Sweet,
Here.
Legislator Allen, Legislator Headwell Jr.,
Present.
Legislator Majewski,
Here.
Legislator Kowalczyk,
Here.
Legislator Pollock.
Present.
Tonight's program, we're going to start off talking about with the public defender and the conflict defenders. And kind of in tandem, if you can, both approach the bench together. And the reason we called you both here together tonight, I mean, come right up and sit down, relax. You might be there.
I don't see you refreshing. We can't afford it. I'm gonna be like him.
We're not here so much to scrutinize your budgets. As you know, we did speak with the conflict defender a couple of months in August, try and get a handle, because we were presented with a resolution to refund or continue to fund the cost of the conflict defenders. And it has, soared beyond the budget from last year of 450. We're way up there now, and it's my understanding that, when we passed our resolution, we were, I don't know, where did I put this thing here, but we were at, up to $620,000 we allocated. We're already up to 656. We owe 175 with invoices that have been submitted to date since our last jack-up, and with a prognostication that this could go over $1 million this year. So we're looking maybe at another resolution to not only fund the 175 that we have invoices for already, but for the rest of the year, we're going to be fellow legislators looking at another resolution asking for somewhere in the vicinity. I just talked with the treasurer of 450, 475 to help afford this expense the rest of the year. And it's something that has us very concerned from the standpoint of how much it's grown over time and over a short period of time. And, we want to get a handle really on the flow between both offices here, because the reality, one thing we're beginning to get a better understanding of is that there are so many potential situations where there's a conflict that we got to keep farming these things out and incurring this expense and increasing this expense. So, Attorney Francisco, since you did, and thank you for came here in August, we've also come to understand that the reimbursement isn't quite the way it was framed that day. And Sean, please speak up, but it's something, not a 70% reimbursement from the state, but on certain types of cases, only 40 to 45%, is that it, Sean?
Most of the cases on the claim form, we pay $158 an hour, $158 an hour, the reimbursement rate's $41.50 an hour.
Right. And that is for most of the activity.
Right.
So this, I know you individuals are not the author of this. It's a state mandate, we understand that. But I think the only way we can begin to learn how to control this expense is to control the flow between both of your offices and more stringently, so that we cut down on the frequency of cases where we have to, get a conflict defender involved. And we want to get a better understanding of that from both of you, and and the give and take between both of you, your offices when it comes to that. And that's why you're both here together. So, I don't, I probably haven't framed it as acutely as you, the two of you can, who handle with it daily. But are there any ways that we can cut down on, the use of conflict defenders? And, is this just something that's growing out of control because, so many attorneys are involved that we can't help but run into a conflict that has to be farmed out to somebody else? And if anybody else wants to frame this any better than I just did, or add anything to it, this was pretty much the gist of what we were talking about, correct? So, be that as it may, I know I've left an open page here for you, but would like you guys to start dialoguing about it so we maybe get a better understanding of how we can control this a little bit better and the expense involved. So, and Rosemary, I know, Bill's out of the country, and thank you for coming here and
Sure.
taking these bullets,
It's okay.
but they're rubber bullets, But so I guess that's help clarify some of this in our minds, and tell us there's a better way to get this under control, so it doesn't end up being $1 million expense for us every year.
I don't have any answers on how to fix conflicts. I mean, the numbers have exploded for cases in the county, which I'm sure Jeff can attest to. UCS sets the mandates for the policies for what a conflict is. That's what we go by. The Unified Court System set that a long time ago. We do the same type of conflict checks that we've done forever, but as the numbers explode, our cases have just through the roof.
The frequency of cases, period.
Absolutely. I mean, between bail reform and OCA setting mandates for initial appearances in family court, the numbers are through the roof. And when family court matters are up and criminal court matters are up, conflicts are up. How to fix that, I have no idea. We're doing the conflict checks according to them as they set the mandates. I mean, I've been with the department for 24 years, and the conflict checks are absolutely the same.
And it really originates through the public defender's office, Rosemary? Is that where
The majority of it
determination the
does. I'm not
conflict is?
exactly sure what family court does and what their correspondence is. I think that they may send some things directly to Jeff's office. But they do advise us also, and the majority of it does go through our office, yes.
And so so you use a criteria that is mandated by the state to determine
A conflict,
a conflict?
correct.
Chair,
Yes, Legislator Kowalczyk.
my concern is these conflicts. This is what seems to be exploding. How, these conflicts are basically people are viewing files, and who gives access to
No,
these?
so it's not just the conflicts that are exploding, the cases are exploding.
Okay.
Throughout the county in family court and in criminal courts. And as the cases explode, the conflicts are gonna explode. Because we have to check, I mean, there's petitioners, respondents, orders of protection, co-defendants, witnesses, victims. Every one of them, just as we had a recent case, I think it was Target, but don't quote me on that. There was 4 co-defendants. We can only take one in our department, the other 3 have to go. Now, that doesn't happen very often, but these things happen. And I also know that Jeff has also had some really big, prominent felony cases going on. They're gonna cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some large vouchers this year relative to, I only have 2024 and now 25 to gauge against, but in 25 this year, there was a lot of large vouchers, anything to my thing, anything over 10,000 to me is a large voucher.
Sure.
Really over 5, but we've had a lot of $15,000, $20,000 voucher just the other day coming out of Supreme Court on I never want to say simple custody case, but a single custody case, one. So what is $20,000, let's say, what's that percentage of my budget last year, which was only 400? I saw right after the first of the year, when the first wave of vouchers were coming in, because what happens here, part of what I emailed Sean today was, we get a lot at the end of the year right now. The attorneys know, I think from experience, that they have to get their vouchers in before a certain date, and then
They don't wanna get caught up in fiscal closing.
right, there's a fiscal closing, so we get a rush of vouchers at the end of the year. I saw at the beginning of 2025, when the first ones were coming in, you'd think that there'd be a reprieve, them having just put in a number, and I saw right away, it's like, almost a quarter of my budget was gone in the first few vouchers in February and March. And so I knew this was coming down the pike here. And from my standpoint, I am gonna look at ways to, a lot of it comes out of family court more than criminal court. The criminal cases, unless there's a trial, unless there's a significant trial with significant time, I think we can handle the criminal cases, even.
And would you agree that a big part of it is because now they're mandated to assign an attorney at initials? We did not used to do initial appearances.
Yeah, I mean, but the CAFA attorneys are covering the initial arraignment, but yeah, the courts marching orders are to have an attorney at every stage, which is the marching orders per statute. But,
And then bail
there are
reform,
cases
right?
that, yeah, and bail reform, I suppose, bail reform.
On the other side, yeah.
Bail reform, to me, the tendency of bail reform is that the criminal cases get elongated. And then in the old days, without bail reform, a defendant would be incarcerated, and that incarceration component of the case would cause the case to be galvanized at an early stage and maybe gotten rid of quickly. But now that they are not incarcerated, and there's a human tendency to not become or want to become incarcerated, so they become incarcerated only by pursuant to a decision now to accept a plea or not accept a plea offer. So these criminal cases are getting harder to resolve because of the reluctance of a defendant to accept a plea that's going to mean them going incarcerated. They're extending it. It's sort of like stay on the boat as long as you can stay on the boat before it hits the sea. Like
Well, this
Titanic.
bail reform
Huh?
really was great, wasn't it? I remember Lucille warning against this, when it came through in 17, was it, or 18? I don't know, but.
I'm talking about budget. Now, if I wore my defense attorney hat, there'd be, we did have cases where they're compelled to plead and accept a plea to something because they are incarcerated. So that was sort of
It forces their hand.
one of the motivations is that,
And an outcome.
yes,
Yeah.
you're right. But from a budgetary standpoint, what we're talking about here, it's elongated the cases and therefore the vouchers are higher.
So when you say like a big voucher's 10 grand, and am I doing the right math when I divide 158 into that and come up with 63 hours somebody might have spent on a case?
Yeah, I mean, we have 63 hours, 90 hours, and it's tough for me to, the judges are approving the vouchers. The judges are approving them. I look at it, do I come over the top and start saying no when the judge has already approved the hours? So there is that aspect of things that the judge can be more of a vanguard on these vouchers. I had a meeting with the family court judge who, following my meeting here last, and kind of said to him, hey, we're having budgetary issues, a lot of pressure on the county from family court. What can we do?
And any answers?
you know, I think just having that conversation, you know, the judge said, hey, I am mindful of it. I try to resolve these cases as, you know, when and if I can, and so, but I think just having the conversation kind of reminds them. We are looking into seeing if we, in our office, can get funding for a specific conflict defender for family court. To take, because by implication, family court typically has two parties on each side. In the criminal case, you have the people of the state of New York versus the defendant, so it's a single party case. Sometimes there's co-defendants, multiple people arrested at the same time, of course, then public defender's office can only handle one. If there's two of them, they come into my office. If there's three of them, two of them come into my office. So, but most criminal cases are individual cases.
Right.
The individual gets arrested. If they qualify and there's no conflict, the public defender handles it. If there's a conflict, they put them into my office. But in family court, just by their very nature, it's individuals against individuals. There's two sides. So the public defender's office can only handle one. So almost every family court case is now leading to an assignment or potential multiple assignments because of that fact. And the reality is that having an attorney assigned to you is becoming deemed to be, in my opinion, an entitlement. People are viewing it as an entitlement. I'm in city court a lot. I see the criminal courts. Almost all the cases now are either public defender or assigned counsel, because the word gets out. The word gets out very quickly. Hey, they'll assign an attorney to you. The criteria for getting one is they're making it very easy now from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, let's talk about that a minute. I mean, what is it? What is that criteria, and how much vetting is done? I mean, to make sure that these people can't afford it on their own.
Well,
And who does that vetting?
the initial thing comes out of the
It's
public
supposed to come,
defender's office.
originally, we'll say back in the day, there was a financial affidavit application that
Right.
everyone had to fill out. And there was a standard set, we went by it, it's put out by the Defenders Association for eligibility criteria. And we went through that step by step. That has fallen by the wayside. Everybody's getting an attorney now. I mean, we've had multiple calls in the past year where people have said, what do you mean I have to fill out an application? I was told everybody in Montgomery County gets an attorney. They've changed the standards. They don't want us to look at this or that or this or that or this or that. The only thing we can look at is one person, if they say they have no debt and they make $41,000, then if they're over that, that cuts it off. We have a little bit of a gray area of just a few dollars, just so we don't have any problems. But it's fallen by the wayside. It's not being adhered to anymore. It's being basically our eligibility that we used to use, the criteria is just basically being overruled. Everybody's getting an attorney.
Who's overruling it?
I would say the courts, the judges.
Not
Because,
necessary.
but it's because of their mandates. They have mandates through OCA that is pressuring them to give attorneys.
I mean, we're getting cases where they qualify, they could have a $250,000 house with a mortgage, 2 cars with loans against them, all that with decent incomes. If they don't have
See,
5,000
that's a
cash in the
scam.
bank,
That's a scam.
if they don't have
You know.
5,000 cash in the bank available, liquid funds available to hire an attorney, the marching orders are to approve them.
Yes. So in my definition, or maybe I should say my opinion, it seems like there are no eligibility criteria anymore. And that's why the numbers are up also.
Legislator Headwell.
We're not the only county that's having this problem. I mean, Fulton County's having the same problem that we are.
It's
Is there
throughout
a-
New York State.
Is there a way that the counties can work together so that we can share public defenders?
Never heard of such a thing, but, you know, we're so rigid in our county lines with county things, you know. From a state level, we're budgeted by ALS with Montgomery County, so I don't foresee that as.
I mean, because the judges work back and forth across all the lines and everything else. I mean, just is wonder why we can't share what we're having, because like you say, you know, you have two people come in, your office can't handle it, and they have the same problem up there. We just
Like
Well,
a-
either
like
way, if
like
there's a
covered-
conflict,
like
they're still
like a
gonna-
different, you know, that's something that needs to be potentially organized on the state level. There
Yes.
was a thought process when the mandates came down. It was pursuant to a litigation, a significant litigation in New York, where they targeted a couple counties, brought a litigation and said, you're not funding indigent defense, you're not funding it properly. And it was out of that litigation that ILS was formed, the state started funding it. There was a thought process, the state was gonna take over this whole area, and basically run the entire system on the state level. In lieu of that, they did ILS and started sending money to the counties,
And not enough.
right, in theory. They basically said, we'll fund the increase in the attorney rate, you know, and to be quite honest, that increase in the attorney rate has to be considered a factor, because now we have no problem finding attorneys to take the cases. The problems are the number of cases. In the past, my understanding is my predecessor had real difficulty finding attorneys to take the
They
cases.
weren't getting paid enough for it.
They weren't getting paid
So
enough,
they-
there wasn't a thing.
Yep.
It slowed everything down. It slowed the courts down, it slowed everything down, so velocity decreased. With velocity decreased, so do vouchers coming in decrease. So when it increased from a theoretical standpoint from 75 to 150, even though the state was supposedly, or coming in and largely funding that increase to keep the net amount on the county the same, it really didn't keep it the same. You've got a lot of social factors at play, but you've got this desire now on the part of attorneys to take the cases, and when you put a fund out there to bill against, it's gonna be billed against.
They're really not even funding the difference because it doubled, right, and we're getting 40% of
I
the
mean,
total.
is that a net, Sean, when you say that?
We
I
get,
believe, most of your cases are 4150 reimbursement, I think felonies are 49. The rate is right on the claim.
So all these family court things where it looks like the hair in the drain is,
If you were to ask Amy.
We don't get the full rate on the misdemeanors, we do on the felonies, and we do on family court. I thought it was 50%. So it might net out to be that,
Yeah.
when it comes down.
another cost the state's
50%
passing on to
difference.
us to eat and.
Right. So the theory was that with that state reimbursement, what the county was paying out would stay the same, but to me, the pressure is the number of cases that are being brought, which is, to me, is a reflection of the social situation out there.
Yeah,
And to me, it's not gonna get better.
no. Plus, we live in a litigious society to begin with, you know.
We're seeing federal funding cut.
Yeah.
When federal funding cuts, you're gonna have more human conflict, and all this is born out of human conflict on the lower echelons of society.
Legislator Kelly.
Are we auditing their time cards? So if they're putting in saying they're doing 69 hours worth of work, is there a backup to that?
We're just taking their word for it.
It goes to the judge. The judge approves the voucher. That's the theory behind it, is because the judge is there seeing the
for the
case.
court dates, when
the
they're
court
there, they
dates.
can verify dates,
I
When
was
it-
there
times.
too, okay, yes, I can
When it
attest.
comes to me,
Yes.
I review them, and I do feel that, when an attorney says he put in 0.5 hours on something, I can easily see that that could be billed at .2 or something like
And
that.
do we pay them to drive to these things?
Yeah.
I know they get mileage, but are they on the $1.58 an hour clock while they're driving there?
Yes,
Okay.
and that was
Goody.
pursuant to a legislative change, a resolution.
Transit time, it's called.
That was a decision of the legislature here. You don't have to pay that. That was a resolution passed by the last year.
How long ago?
2 years? Year ago.
Couple years ago in
We
April.
don't have to do what?
Not
pay mileage,
mileage as
period.
much as pay them while they're in the car driving to court.
Well, let's fix that.
2 years ago, we didn't have
It's
this
$158
price.
a day.
A day. Okay.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
$58 an hour.
On the way to court, so they might take a half hour to get to court.
We have some
Right, so-
attorneys driving from Glens Falls to court here. They're getting 2 hours travel time.
Right.
And then
Plus
they-
mileage.
Plus mileage.
Plus mileage.
I'll sign your sheepskin, you sign mine, we're signing up.
But the
Alright.
mileage and the travel, paying for the travel time was done by the legislature before the rate went up.
Right, now it's time to adjust it back down. So we have to devise a resolution to do that, if we can, before we get into next year. I mean, we gotta stop the bleeding somehow, and I know that may not even be a tourniquet, but it's a start. Okay,
Kind of seems like, in my opinion, the balance of the scale of justice is tipped. Not towards, it's not even,
no,
it's tipped pretty hard when you can't find, attorneys on the other side because you can get paid a bunch of money to take one case and
the system, it's the system,
good old New York State.
yeah.
My thought is, if the public defender seems to get a grant for lunch when they want it, why can't there be grants to the conflict defender?
Well, we have,
There is. The Hurrell Herring pays all of the salaries. They pay for things like supplies, mileage, trainings.
yeah, I mean, my office is pretty much, the only county expense is these vouchers.
Right. The whole department is paid for by a grant except the vouchers and the portion. There is a portion of them that is paid.
Right.
But
All right, anybody else have any other questions for Rosemary and Jeff? All right, thanks for making yourselves available again. You help giving us a better understanding of just how bad we're hemorrhaging.
So, when I see these trends, I'll bring them to your attention quicker than.
Yeah, and also the invoices, I mean, the $1.75 that we knew we had in front of us today, is there any way to get them to us more timely? Some of them from
Well, the
July or
vouchers,
something.
in order to get the vouchers to
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
county
mean, there
timely?
seems to be a delay in, yes, no, did we hear that from Jill?
That there are times that there's between 30 and 40 come at once.
I know, they come in our office
Right.
in that fashion largely,
Okay,
but yeah.
okay,
But then I did get a call from them saying, hey, get it, don't give us 30 at one time, give us 10 at one time. Then we're just gonna be warehousing them in our office, okay, here's 10 the next week. And
sure.
But if
sure.
it works better from an auditing standpoint or a procedural standpoint, we'll do it.
No, I think what we were thinking is if they're coming to us in that regard, they're being sat on for a while and been sent over us in bulk.
Yeah.
But if you're receiving them that way,
We receive them, but they, generally they come in, they come in, there'll be a period where they're really not coming in, then they come in, and we act upon them quick, but a lot
Okay.
of times they act,
Okay.
and
and they
it's a
take
big
a
pile.
while too, from
Yeah.
when I used to do them. They take a while, to go through them and look through and
See, the
sign
court-
off and.
The courts could be inventorying them and then signing
Yes.
them off. And then after the court does it, they send it inter-office mail to me.
yeah,
So when we get them, we're getting them.
they're the ones sitting on them,
Yes.
if anybody is,
Yes.
okay,
It's a process from
Yeah.
step to step to step.
okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yep. All right, our next presenter is our district attorney, Christina. come on up. You know, you weren't called here to discuss your budget per se, line by line, but I understand there's a few things you want to get some reassurances from us on.
Yes, so if you look at my proposed, well, my request, and the proposal from the executive budget, there's a difference of about $243,000. And that's the amount that was defunded, or I'm sorry, reduced but from what I had requested. And if you look at the lines, there are two full-time,
Can you direct us to them?
yes, line 133. So it's under appropriations, 133, assistant district attorney. Or is it 1110 and then the 133?
Oh, yeah, okay, yep,
Okay, see that?
yep, that one,
Yes, so
Yep.
that's a full-time ADA position, which I need, but I haven't been able to fill,
right,
so it's a vacancy.
right,
And then if you scoot down to 1305, that's another full-time ADA position,
right,
which I haven't been able to fill, but I still need the person, but,
Sure.
so that was removed, and then
Right.
the law school intern line was removed. And that's down at 1130 and 208 law school intern.
yep,
And I can tell you that is very important to have, because that's how I generate interest for students who are in law school to potentially come into the office and be excited to take that $115,000 salary. And I can, you know, they can do town courts and start out their legal career. So it's really important to have that line. So the amount of what I've requested and what is proposed, like I said, is about $243,000.
sure, those three lines, okay.
Yeah. Now, if you look at my 2025 budget, just in my personnel lines alone, the amount that's going back to the general fund in 2026, my unrealized balance is over $243,000. So my concern is, okay, you guys have been very supportive of
We have,
me, you have, and I appreciate it.
not only you, but your predecessor.
Yes,
That's where this
and I appreciate it, and it's,
fortress was built.
yes, and it's needed, and I can't lose that.
Mhm.
I don't have any attorney assigned to 6 town courts, specifically assigned. Of course they're covered. I'm gonna send ADAs that I have out to make sure that those courts are covered. So my concern is you defund them, then I have to come back once I have an applicant and request a resolution to fill that position, and that's gonna be 2 months down the line. And for a position that I may need and be able to fill within weeks, depending on if they just need to give 2 weeks' notice, or just the onboarding, you know, with personnel. So I'm asking to, at this point, just leave the funds, or approve what's been requested. I know the county exec and the treasurer, they have budgetary issues that, you know, they're trying to cut spending and, you know, do what they have to do. But just because the positions are vacant, I still need to fill them.
We understand you need to fill them, and I do, you know, our philosophy on this when we sat down to talk about it was, any of these positions, whether it's yours or anybody else's, was, I know it's a pain in the rear end to have to come back and ask for it, but, you know, we also got a pretty large printout of positions that haven't been filled for a while throughout the system, and, you know, when you're throwing that money in the budget and you're looking for places to find some expense savings, it's a good place to look for us, which is, you know, it's not, we're not saying you can never have the position again. We're just saying you don't have the convenience of pushing a button as soon as you find somebody to fill it. You have to come back and ask for it, you know, and,
And given
yeah.
my situation with, you know, I have to send people to town court. I have to have, you know, I have 11 local courts. I have county court, city court, drug court, IDV court, raise the age court. And as soon as I have a body, I need to be able to fill
in
the
motion.
position.
Yeah,
And the amount, like I said, the unrealized funds that I have from 2025 is going to cover what I'm requesting in 2026.
can you please go back over that
Yes.
and explain how,
How I got to the 143.
no, how money ended up back in our fund balance from your 2025 that you
Oh.
haven't spent?
The money that I haven't spent, sure.
Because the positions haven't been filled.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I can go through each
Yeah.
line and tell you, but yeah.
No,
here-
I thought there was,
It's
it was
personnel.
someplace else in your expense.
No, it's
Oh,
personnel lines.
Okay.
And I understand that it goes all back to the general fund. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that what I'm
Okay.
asking for is, you know, likely going to be going back into the general fund anyway,
it would, yeah,
from 25 to 2026.
okay. Anybody have any more questions for our DA?
I just wanna,
Legislator Kelly?
I understand the philosophy and the thinking behind that, but my problem is, you know, last year we used X amount of million of dollars from the fund balance to balance the budget. And now every year, when we go through the budget season, it's just you're here right now, so I'm gonna use you. X amount of dollars are going back to the fund balance, look, I saved the county money. No, we didn't save the county money. We've taxed the taxpayer on it. We used fund balance to balance our budget, and now we're throwing it back into the fund balance. So there is room to move in this budget, and the easiest place we find it is personnel. Do you have other areas where you could scrape and come up with funds?
Do I? I'm sure that the county will receive, some money from my other lines as well, but I can't, estimate that. I can only estimate the personnel because those positions are vacant.
Are there any grants outlaying out there?
No, we don't, unfortunately.
No.
No, so
There was one grant
we
that
do
is
get our, yeah, aid to
240,000
prosecution and,
or
yes, I haven't
something.
received the email yet on how much we're receiving this year. It should be coming any day now. So we just base it off the amount that we received last year, and that's a good estimate. So, let's see here. Did I have that printed out here? Let's see here, yeah, so the, state aid and other, looks like it was 607.
Unfortunately, we don't have the information here to look at your year-to-dates, which would help us eventually to go through this budget,
You do got your report.
You do.
but not all of it. I've got the county clerk, or I've got the district attorney here, and it's got 12 lines. That's not the whole budget. It's not her whole budget.
What page you on?
9.
It's on page 40
Page 40.
Yes.
of that report I just gave you.
You were looking at a county attorney.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, John. So that does help.
Kristen, I understand exactly, what you're talking about, but I also think we need to also start looking at some of the things that we talked about, using part-time, and maybe using some help, offering down, and I think when we start talking about not funding some of these positions right now, it opens the door to start thinking of other ways to get more people like you're talking about.
Yeah, so I have good news. I was able to hire and fill the deputy chief assistant. That was the position that the salary was increased to $150,000. I have a very experienced attorney starting December 8th, and I'm excited that he's coming on. And so that's great news. I'll have some help there. The part-time position, I have not received any applicants. The full-time position, I received an applicant who hasn't graduated from law school yet. So he has expressed interest in, you know, coming to work after law school. So I did reach out to personnel to see if there is something that we can do, create a position where at a much lower rate, because he's not an attorney yet, but pretty much while he's pending bar passage and admission, because after you pass the bar, you still have to be sworn in and then, you know, officially admitted. At that point, he would be at the 115 rate. So maybe that's how I get applicants in, is do something like that. I'm trying to be as creative as possible and open as possible with, you know, the part-time position, but and as far as the deputy chief assistant, that wasn't anything that came in through personnel posting. It was me sending out the job postings to our local bar associations, Schenectady, Montgomery, Fulton, and, you know, putting it out on free, like Albany Law, employment sites and things like that. So I'm open to part-time, sure, but the one part-time position that I haven't received an applicant.
Christina, on the first one that you're looking at, the 133,
The 133, yes.
so the salary there is 115,407, and it looks like you've used almost 52,000 of that. Is that, am I looking at that correctly?
133. Yes, that is 133. That was a full-time ADA, and I believe she
You're looking at yours.
left in about,
So the position was filled for a while?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's probably the same thing on the 1305.
1305. Let's see here, sorry. So the 1305, if you look, it has a negative balance. That was, I'm not sure why it has a negative, because that was the position, our current ADA, her position changed to felony crimes. So there was a transfer of funds, so I'm not sure why that's
I have to
showing
check
a negative,
the
Sean.
transactions, but there was some money transferred out of that line because it was vacant, but I'll find out why the negative
Yeah.
showed.
Because it got amended to 48,000 from the original
Yeah.
117.
Some of that
So
was
that-
moved for the felony, the other position that was
Yeah.
vacant.
Because some money was moved from, if you look at the first line, 118, First Assistant District Attorney, that was my position in 2024. And if you look, that line is down to, what, 45,775. I think funds were moved from that line to fund the felony crime.
I have a question with DA/law enforcement program. So
Okay,
it
what line
seems
is that?
it's 4522. Not that I'm looking to add more to the budget, but it seems we pass a budget with 0 in there, and then later on in the year, dump just shy of 20 grand into it.
So, you know
every
why
year.
that was done? Because the discovery, or not the discovery, aid to prosecution grant, when I tell you that I'm not gonna find out exactly what I am receiving from the state until about this time, so I needed a number to give you last year, and what I gave you was the previous years. So we had received about $19,000 or $20,000 more. So when that came in, the ledge approved, and there was a resolution to put those additional funds from that aid to prosecution grant in that line.
So we just increased the revenue and increased that expense when it came in.
What that is, what I'll elaborate on what Christina said. When they get, crime proceeds, they're restricted crime proceeds. And as they get them, resolutions brought forward to increase
Oh, okay.
revenue and increase the corresponding expenditure. So you'll see, if you go back to our revenue under 2626,
Yeah.
you'll see it was amended to 18,522, and the corresponding expense is the
Okay.
same.
Alright.
Those are resolutions that come
Yeah.
forward as the DA's office actually gets these proceeds.
Okay, yep, so I'm sorry, I'm mixing up the two. But we did receive, additional grant funds, and that was placed into one of the lines, and that's why there was an increase there, but yes, as
Okay.
far as the forfeiture funds. It's as Sean stated.
All right, anybody have any more questions for the DA?
No?
We hear you, DA Pearson, and we have some more deliberations to do, so
Okay,
we will see what we can do, but I can't promise you anything.
okay, I understand.
Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, our next budget to discuss is DPW. And Commissioner Mead. Commissioner, we went through, with the treasurer and the executive last week, the major changes in your budget year over year. I don't know if you're aware of what they were. Got 110,000 transferring two positions from D to A fund, 43 for an additional structural maintenance worker, 18 for batteries to the public safety building, 262 we know is the utility situation, which we've been apprised of by you, and we're fully aware of what's going on there. The rates have gone up, the cost has gone up, and we've made a decision to not necessarily budget dollar for what we think we might incur next year, but increase it to a certain degree anyway to help accommodate some of the expected increase. So, I mean, why don't you, say what you wanna say, or go through what you wanna go through, and we'll see if we have any further questions.
Well, I could be real, for the first time in 9 years, I could probably be the shortest I've ever been, and I have no problems with the way this budget's presented to you folks here this evening. I'm not requesting for anything to be put back other than what's there. I'm very comfortable with the numbers that are there after sitting with the county executive and the county treasurer, that this could work for my department, and we'll make it work. The one thing that we do need is that one position in buildings and grounds, and that's for the Venner Road facility, which is partially or fully refunded by Commissioner Beck's department. And I believe Sean has showed a revenue side to match that as well. We removed all the other requested positions, and I actually reached out to Sean myself to tell him to remove them for facilities. The
Yes.
sign shop, after talking with Legislator Sweet, earlier this year, he asked about a contract to guarantee those signs that we were talking about with DOT, and I said, you know what? You are right, Legislator Sweet, let's hold off on filling that position until we do realize that revenue. So I asked to remove that position until that point. So that basically, in a nutshell, and as you mentioned, Chairman Pep, the $18,000 for UPS batteries for the sheriff's facility, that we removed them last year in agreement that they would go back in this year because we need to make sure those are
Absolutely.
replaced and ready to go.
Yep.
Other than that, in my, the A fund, the only difference in increases, I don't know if you touched on it, the property rent lease repair, I increased, but I lowered our maintenance agreements. And by doing that is a savings to the county is $69,880.
Okay.
And that was just by eliminating our HVAC service contract that we had over numerous years. We went a different route, went with 2 different service providers, and they're on an on-call basis, not a here every day soaking up our tax dollars.
Beautiful.
So, so that was just some shifting of money around. Says, as far as the road fund, I went over the sign maintenance worker position that we removed. I'm good with all the other numbers. We're basically holding steadfast to where we were last year. Light and power and fuel, it is what it is. If we run close, you know, we know I'll be here saying, hey, you know,
You gotta keep
things
the
out of
lights.
my control,
Right.
you know? And as far as same with the machinery fund, I have no issues with the way the budget's been presented to you. If there's anything you want me to run through as far as that, 'cause I think we pretty much submitted the same budget as we did last year.
No, I'm fine with it, but anybody have any more questions for Eric?
Appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, Commish.
Hold on. Eric, do you think,
Wasn't me.
do you think,
I tried, Sean, I tried.
you're close, you're close, you're close. Do you think your numbers for natural gas and oil and electric are good? I mean, I know it's a guessing game.
Natural gas, oil, the only thing we've added now as far as additional heat source is going to be Venner Road. But the rooftop unit that went on and the, we did mini split condensers for, you know, for VAVs and for, you know, ceiling cassette units. As proven in our new DPW facility are very, very cost effective, you know, and I'm not a proponent for electric heat, you know, and things like, you know, but those units are very cost efficient. So this year will be the tale, if we budgeted correctly, it's kind of a heads you win, tails you lose, you know, sort of thing, you know, but.
I was just curious because electric rates are.
Yeah, we, since the last major increase we had, where we had to put money in, we have seen a slight reduction, or things level off, I should say. And we haven't seen the spike that we did that one time. I don't know if that was a quick money grab by National Grid, you know, and then reverted, kinda hard to tell, you know, at this point, but, I guess we'll know come August 1st, you know, of where we're sitting, but, like I said, I'm not alarmed at this point, legislators.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got.
Everybody else good? Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next budget is DSS. Commissioner Beck.
Martin, I gotta make some changes to the presentation, take out the, where we used fund balance and gave back to the fund balance, please. Can we take that, remove that slide from the presentation?
It's visual and.
We got visual.
Wow.
Listen, the sheriff has done a good job of, when we come here and he does his presentations, to use those TVs, so we decided to try that this year. We'll go through this real quick, so we can, you know, save some time for Sarah and Connie here. Been patient back there as well.
Commissioner, let me
Yes, sir.
start off before you go off on your budget rant. We want to commend you as a legislature, you know, for one of the more complex, or if not the most complex, departmental budget that we've looked at, many of us, the last 9 years. I think we're, you know, after having discussed it with the treasurer and the executive, who were also, made a commentary, I think the treasurer indicated this is the least amount of traffic we've had, you know, on the, social services budget and, in years. And, you know, you are to be commended for that. But I also, you know, you did a good job of cutting where you needed to cut, upon request by the executive. And, you know, overall, you know, we're all looking at your budget positively. So, and the moves you made. So, I don't know that you need to, you know, get any kind of defensive, you know, in any of your numbers, or feel, you know, you have to justify your numbers, but we are interested in what you gotta say.
Sure, and as a perfect segue, I appreciate the accommodation, I appreciate the praise, and all of you that know, you know, I'm much more of a behind-the-scenes person. I get the privilege of coming to these meetings and interacting with our legislature. This is not done by me, this is done by our team. So Jim Longwell is our Director of Finance at our agency. All of our department heads had a role in this. You guys all helped us build the infrastructure that we have in place at DSS that allows us to be able to tighten these belts. Also here tonight is Jess Sear, who's our accounting supervisor, Cynthia Bradley, who also is our reimbursement specialist. So if there were any specific questions, they were here tonight. They are a huge part of what was done here today and presented to you during the budget process. And I'd be remiss, like I always am here, that I don't share any credit that's done with our admin that Stephanie Waffle-Swaff does not have a piece in. She is really the glue that holds our department together. And, you know, I do get a title, and with that I take it with extreme responsibility with it, but this power is shared, and it is jointly responsibilities, and these guys deserve as much credit as I do for what we prepared and put in front of you this year. So
So what you're saying is, you don't do much and you want your salary.
yeah. Well, if we want to talk about salaries, I could talk about the 59 kids that I do have in care and custody, the adults that we have in care and custody. They're 24/7. So, you know, if we want to look at salary adjustments, I'm happy to talk about those too. So no, I agree. We are very fortunate that we were able to put a good team in place and address some of the things that were happening at DSS and prepare a better budget for us. So I'm going to go through this really quickly based on what the chair said. So, you know, we always start off with our agency mission. The next slide, clerk, if you don't mind. I love being able to get priority. This is really gonna be fun tonight.
If I had known I was doing this, there would be a baby picture in the middle of it.
Trust me, if you had anything to do with the agenda, you might be walking to Thanksgiving, you should have been first. So this is just the structure of DSS. Just wanted to give you an idea of what our organization looks like. Again, you know, we've got about 121 full-time employees. We got about, I think, 8, 9 part-time employees. So it's a massive department. When Sarah's departments come down, you know, we're looking at over 130 people in that building. So just to kind of put a pitch in for Commissioner Mead, that extra staff down there is really needed. That's not only the maintenance inside the building, that's the maintenance on the outside of the building. We were able to put a garage in down there where they will have access to a snow blower and some mowing equipment. So his idea of what, you know, what is going forward, I just want to echo that I really do appreciate and support what Commissioner Mead was asking for as far as resources for vendors down there. So the next slide is really our statistics. I give this to you because you know we are not the good news department of Montgomery County. What we deal with is the most vulnerable people in our county. So we are not going to be someone who comes up here, and we are not going to have, you know, there's not a lot of photo opportunities for us at DSS because, you know, we're dealing with some very much crisis. Yeah, so, you know, just want to make sure that, you know, these statistics are extremely powerful for a small county as far as what the work of that staff that we just identified does on a daily basis. So it's just something we like to put out there so you get an idea of what happens. Again, I share this with you prior, we're averaging about 60 people through the doors every day, like at an average down there. Some days it's 20, some days it's 100. So there are people coming in and out of those doors quite frequently. And on the last slide, we'll really get into what is coming forward. The next slide, is still me, Jim? Or is this you?
This is me.
All right, so now it's Jim's turn.
So these next two slides are about the budget itself that we've given to you. The first slide is about the, what we call the controllable expenses, which would be personnel primarily, and then appropriations such as software, departmental contracts, supplies, etc. That's what we view as totally controllable, as opposed to the next slide, which you'll see are the, expenses on social services programs, Medicaid, daycare, family assistance, etc. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the revenues. So this second slide is very dependent on demand from the community. And as you well know from the discussions earlier, we get revenues similar to some of the other departments. We get about approximately a 70% revenues on all of the appropriations, and those are on the right-hand side. So basically, it's 100% expense on the left, 70% revenues on the right. And this is, again, we don't consider that very controllable because it's based on our population, needs of our population.
Those revenues don't look like 70% to me. Is 4.5, 70% of 12.3, it's 1.2, 70% of
No,
2.6.
it's overall, taken collectively. The reimbursement, some things are reimbursed 0, some things are reimbursed 100. It actually comes to about 44% federal reimbursement and 26% state. Again, that's approximate, and it also depends, as things change, it could be going up overall or down overall. So back to the previous slide, I just want to get back on that. If you look at the right-hand side, that's your personnel appropriations. As you know, the contract negotiations are going on with the union. So the increases have not been put in the budget yet. And on the left-hand side is really the bread and butter of what we as a management team control. Those, as I said, contracts and office supplies, vehicles, etc. Matt, you want to talk for a moment about that?
Yeah, so we did this is where we actually did probably about a 3% reduction this year, is in the discretionary pot. So our overall budget was increase of just around 3%, and that includes some of the state, about approximately $400,000 that we lost in administrative monies because of the new federal bills that are coming down. So there's a discretionary pot also in here. I just want to recognize that its line item is, I think, 4462. What we are doing in this is a commissioner's fund. This commissioner's fund is funded at $10,000.
Yes.
What this will do is allow DSS to do a bank account with NBT, where we will have a debit card at our access, which will not come off of what the county credit card we are currently using. So right now, there's been some issues with the county credit card that it gets maxed out, we can't use it. So DSS has found a solution with this commissioner's pot. It is at my discretion. We will be creating a policy that will come forward. We will work with Marco and the auditing team. We will meet with the treasurer and auditors on a quarterly basis. This is preliminarily what will be in the policy, to go over any expenditures that come out of that. What that really is for is emergencies. We have a homeless person show up that we've got to put in a hotel. Instead of having to call Jackie to get the credit card at the county, we will have access and be able to do that instantaneously. And it'll just improve business. I did not want this to be hidden in the budget. I wanted to make sure we're being transparent and that this is not a fund that we will take lightly and use for any equipment purchases, any other things. This will strictly be for emergency and will all be reimbursable.
How was it funded?
It wasn't funded before.
No,
So this is a slight increase.
The 10 though, where's the money come from to?
We added it in. So even though we did a 3% decrease in the discretionary pot, we still added in 10,000 to address this.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Did you have anything else?
That's it, you can carry.
Perfect. The other slide gets into personnel. So again, we talked about the stats. I do want to highlight something. Currently, DSS is at 92.5% staff. So that's incredible for our vantage point right now. We had 15 people this year that was promoted within our department. 13 were hired in department in the last month. So, I know you guys I appreciate the 9 positions and having conversations, the county treasurer, the executive, you all understanding when our 9 positions came up that were vacant, A lot of that is because of this, and I really wanted to highlight it. We have been intentional to promote and keep and retain employees in DSS since our administration has gotten here. These statistics prove it. So I'm extremely proud of our staff that this is what we've done. So sometimes when we see those vacancies, this is the unintentional consequence to those things. So I really wanted to highlight that and tell you we appreciate it. You know, if we, afterwards, if you got questions about vacated staff and stuff like that, I'll be able to address them. But this I thought was extremely important to say that we're at 92%. We promoted 15 people within our department in this year. The next slide really talks about the contracts. You all are aware of our contracts because you have every single one of them that comes before this board that you vote on. So it just gives an idea. So clerk, if you don't mind keeping up and getting to the slide where we're talking about contracts.
Be nice to her.
Thank you.
Next one. Here we go.
I will pay the consequences of that comment. I assure you that I will face ramifications on that. So those are the examples of the contracts. The next slide just goes into some of our strengthening relationships with community partners. I think this is really important. We did a lot of accessing of additional ARPA funds outside of the county that you all were approved. We put in our budget. Our Code Blue funding, I think this is extremely important. Our staff, Cynthia, Jess, Jim, Andrew Vroman, they did an amazing job of when we got this Code Blue funding of making sure the funds and grant money went to the clients we are here to serve. So those are backpacks, those are, we have sleeping bags, we have specialty items to keep people as clean as possible in these extreme conditions. They did an incredible job of making sure that benefited the clients we're here to serve when we could have used some of that money for our own staff, for cars, for other purposes. They made sure that our first and foremost was to provide for the clients we are here to see, and I'm extremely proud that they have done that for us. The next one is our child care subsidy block grant, our rental supplement program, which has been amazing. We are continuously doing more work in order to enhance that and get people more stable and permanent housing. The next slide is really about our strengthening more with, this is Catholic Charities, our warming center, our DV program, the Bonadio, which you guys sponsored, which I've shared numerous times at Save the County. We roughly invested about $190,000. We got in return from that, they found about $265,000 that we were able to get in reimbursements. So again, with your work and our partnership, we were able to do some excellent work there. Together for Youth, you will hear advertisements. We are recruiting foster care. We are taking a good page out of what our personnel office does and what our colleagues in mental health and public health do of accessing, you know, banners and advertisements and using the vendors they have established to really create and advocate for more foster parents, to be specific to Montgomery County. Captains is a big one. We are working with them now to do a case management, 2 positions, about $168,000 in grant money that we will not employ people here at the county. We will do it through a contract, and we will contract people that will help us with intensive case management for our hardest served that are facing chronic homelessness, and try to get them much more stable housing. So the last one is where those of you who are a fan of Game of Thrones, oh, this is our accomplishment. This is good. So the accomplishment one is good. So again, we really talked about caseworker training, retention, our professional collaboration, strengthening our team. Honestly, the celebration, our accounting folks came down what feels like already 200 years ago because they annoy us for 2 days already. They got down there 2 days ago. So we are fully at Venner besides our little section here at Broadway that has our attorneys still here. We are, you know, this is a work in progress. When Sarah's public health and mental health come down, parking continues to be an issue. We will address all those minor inconveniences.
Stay off the lawn.
We are staying off the lawn per the request of many people. But, you know, Legislator Kelly has made a comment that he drives by that it was concerning, so we did address that. And we're gonna continue to work on it, but this is a milestone that you all invested in, put a lot of money in, and to have it come to fruition is really a testament to what the legislature did, our previous county executive, our current one of continuing for us to do this. And then, of course, our modernizing our child care payment and working on technology. These are all of our major accomplishments in 2025. Now am I on the winter?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so here's winter's coming, Game of Thrones. So, effective November 1st this year, SNAP will be stopped, according to the federal government. Our office will be packed. Just sharing with you. Winter is coming. So this gives you a bleak future of what DSS will be like. So I appreciate the accolades of what we were able to accomplish here in 2026's budget. However, the major impact of our federal bills will be coming the rest of this year, the remainder of this year, and going forward. So this just gives you an idea of what is happening. This doesn't include what's happening with the federal shutdown right now and the impacts that will have on us come November 1st. So we are prepared. We are working with the state. We are going to continue to do business as usual with the hopes that our federal partners get out of their own way and understand the impact this has specifically for New York State. Again, I listened to some of the other presentations. Chair, I agree with you, more state unfunded mandates. The state is not saying they're gonna release any of their share. They're gonna pass that share that the federal government is not going to do onto counties. The state will sit in their ivory towers and continue to monitor and dictate policy that is not effective locally, as we, the county, take the heat for this. So it is not a good future for DSS, Medicaid, all of our funding. It is not. So I just forewarn you that next year our presentation, our interactions may be a little different. And having said that, I know that there's one legislator who will be leaving this year who I'd be remiss if I didn't just say thank you very much for always understanding DSS, having a passion for DSS in all the years you were here, not just since we've been here. But you will be missed from a DSS perspective. I know from the ledge perspective as well. But you have been an extreme advocate, and people don't understand what you do personally to also support DSS at holiday times and other things that we are extremely appreciative of, Legislator Kelly. So that's my spiel, and I'll turn it over to you guys for any questions.
He's gonna take them all back.
No, go for it. Oh, yeah, I mean, the IPH one's a big one, just so you guys know, and we are working on, thank you, Jim. So IPH is opening a new shelter in Amsterdam on Guy Park Avenue. We will have all of those beds available. There is a cost savings because any single homeless person we have to house, or we have to provide housing for. We use a lot of hotels. So those expenses where we won't be expending on hotels, we will shift over to contract for IPH. There still will be some additional county costs to that. Sorry, go ahead. We're ready now, right? Jim?
Yeah, we're ready.
We're ready.
So you're still implementing stuff from the audit, and it's all going well?
Yes, yes. Audits, OSC audits, Bonadillo, yes. We're working on our CFA process, which has been some of what holds up the audit process for the county. So Jim and Sean and Bonadillo have been going back and forth, and that's been a major initiative for Jim these past 2 months.
And then, I know you promoted a lot of people internally. Is there still a transitional training happening so that when people come in, they'll still
Yes,
work with them?
yes, and some of that is the benefit of promoting within. They're bringing knowledge, they're ready, they're gonna carry what they already know, so it's less training for us too, because they've got a good base.
And then, have you seen your caseworker to caseload? Is that leveling out, or
No.
is that?
Nope.
Will you be able to handle what I think is going to be an increase in caseloads coming in the future with all of this stuff happening?
We will not come back to this legislative body and ask for any more caseworkers until we are fully trained, or we are instituting new policies, we are fully staffed. You know, I find it hard for us to come and ask for caseworkers when we've got caseworker vacancies. So until we know our data's bad, we're really bad on our caseloads per caseworker. It's really bad. However, it's because we haven't had caseworkers. So we're hoping we get the caseworkers, caseloads will go down. If we get more cases, yes, we would be back in front of you to ask for more caseworkers.
And then my favorite part, attorneys.
Yeah.
Do you foresee yourself having a problem filling the
Yes.
attorney positions? Thank you.
Legislator Sweet.
With the reductions in the federal funding, do you have a ballpark figure of what we might be on the hook for next year? I mean, I know you can't have exact, but.
Well, we know right there, Legislator Sweet, that we could see the value. I think it was around 3.3 million already. You know, I will share with you, it's not only financial, it is work. So able-bodied employees, by raising the age and decreasing the age and having certain requirements and recertifications, it puts a lot more work on a limited staff. We have 3 people and a supervisor in that unit now, in our employment unit. The verifications of what they're asking for to seek is going to put a tremendous burden on us to monitor and supervise as well. So yeah, it's about 3.3 right now from what we can tell. Again, it's a moving target. To your guys' point, you know, we're in that guessing game too right now. But what we can tell is what we put in front of you today.
Thank you.
Matt, SNAP is going away for good. I just thought it was because the budget was
It's,
so.
so, yeah, let me just say, it's on hold. So because of the government shutdown, effective November 1st, the federal government is saying they will not reimburse on any TA, PA, SNAP, HEAP, all of those things, which, again, we're in HEAP season. So, yeah, right now, they're telling us they won't reimburse. It doesn't mean that we're not still processing, doing applications, providing those funds. The state is saying they are advising and guiding us to continue to do work as usual until the state probably can't handle whatever may or may not be a consequence.
But they may reinstate it.
Yeah, but what's gonna happen is, we all know, the panic's gonna be out, right? The headlines and maybe some misinformation within news media nowadays will make this a stressor, and people who have those will panic. That's their life support.
Yeah.
They will be in our building, they will
Oh,
be,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so, you know, that's the unintentional consequences of a lot of these things that are occurring right now.
You'll see the traffic, right?
We'll see the traffic.
Well, it looks like you know something, Jon Snow.
Thank you. Anything else?
Great job.
Thank you, clerk.
Thank you, Commissioner Beck.
Nope,
It was
not
my
talking
pleasure.
All right, last but certainly not least, is our Mental and Public Health Director, Sarah Barenko and Connie. And we welcome you both. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you also, the two of you, for putting together what looks to be a strong and solid budget. You know, Sarah, you usually do a very good job with this year over year, you know, I mean, you know, been in this position as finance chair or as chairman of the legislature. It seems as though your numbers are always sound, and, you know, there's nothing alarming about them. We did obviously review your budgets as well with the treasurer and the executive, and got some insight into them, but why don't you go dive right in?
Which department would you like me to start with?
which one would you like to start?
I guess I'll start with mental health just because it's a little bit easier, it's a little more straightforward, and it's only one page.
Okay, sounds good.
So our budget, if you look at this, you'll notice that the mental health education coordinator was cut out of the budget. That is actually a bodied position. I have a body in that position. The person was offered the job at the end of August, but due to some changes and structure and leaving a previous position could not start until a little bit later. So it looked like that position was not filled, but it actually has been filled for quite some time. We also added into our mental health budget, you'll see a social work assistant at 40%. That is now going to be a split position between the public health and mental health department. We have internally increased our revenue for mental health by taking some funds from community-based providers and bringing those services in-house, because we felt with the transition of us moving down to DSS in Amsterdam that we needed to start really tightening up some services that the county has not been providing and bringing things in-house. And I didn't need a new position because I already had the positions in the budget, so I'm not asking you for more money, but I did bring in over $57,000 worth of revenue to the mental health budget in salaries by bringing those positions internally, which eliminated that $57,000 cost out of the county coffers or state
great.
aid.
Yep. Now, Sarah, you said, and forgive me if I misinterpreted it, but I mean, the community help you're getting, is there money involved, or?
Yes, so it was state aid. So the program is our single point of access for adults and children, which allows people to enter into the mental health system through one single point of entry. So individuals are accessing a application, which they fill out, it comes to our office, it's processed, and then we will connect individuals who are in need of assistance and support to community-based agencies that are available to them. Historically, in my tenure, my predecessor, along with the mental hygiene director of Fulton County and Hamilton County, had a tri-county agreement where they contracted out those services, and it worked for a little bit, but I'm the last man standing. The other two individuals are no longer in those positions, and it just didn't work, especially with transitioning down to social services. We will have the capacity to work with some difficult cases, work with case management and care management to eliminate some of those barriers and those wait times for children and adults accessing services. And it really, we were one of the only counties out of the 57 in New York State that contracted those services out. Out of the 57, there were 7 in the state that contract those out for providers and lose that money and lose that revenue.
That's good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I will need that position put back in because I have a body.
So what line is that again?
4310, 103.
That's one of the positions that we addressed when, as far as.
It was gonna come back.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cut before it was discussed with us,
Yeah,
that it was
yes,
actually
yes.
filled.
That
And
sounded
we
good.
instead offered up a couple other cuts in different areas that would try to offset it. And then, like she said, we took the SPOA money back from one of the providers and are keeping that in our budget. That wasn't
will be
known.
part of the correcting resolution.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And I think that was
You
the
didn't
only.
even need to ask for that one.
My only, yeah,
Which number is it?
4310.
103.
Oh,
the mental health coordinator.
And you'll see that the 1318 legislator Kelly was a $19,000 dump into the 26 because that funding will come into us in 2026 and be paid out for those salaries for 2026.
So that position was solely public health. Now it's gonna be split between public and mental health and fully funded. And just on a revenue thing, because you guys always ask the realized revenue, I know it looks like there's no realized revenue on my report. That's not true. I actually keep a spreadsheet. Sean, we talked about how he recognizes it, and he doesn't do it till I think the end of the year.
Mhm.
But it's not the case. I'm only waiting for $26,000 from OMH and $10,000 from Oasis. Other than
Okay.
that, we've gotten all, at the top where you see the 1.4 million and the 2.5 million, we have gotten almost all of that.
Excellent.
The other thing we plan on doing with our mental health and mental hygiene budget is opiate settlement dollars that are coming in. We are going to use those more internally to offset some costs this year. Again, we've been sort of farming those out to agencies and providers. However, with the cost of increases in salaries and incarcerated individuals. I know that's a hot topic tonight. We are going to need to maintain some of that funding internally, and we did get permission from the state to purchase a vehicle. So we did buy a vehicle with our obiate dollars in order to provide transportation to some of those difficult and hard to access individuals in our community, because we don't just service Amsterdam, we service from Amsterdam to St. Johnsville and beyond.
Okay. Did you have a question, Ms.
In between.
My
Yes.
is it the 103, Sarah, or is it the 1188? Because the 1188 is the one that wasn't put in.
1118, yes,
Oh,
that's the
I'm
mental health
sorry.
coordinator. Sorry.
1188,
Yes, that's
not
where the money needs to
103.
go back. Yep.
I apologize, I was
They
looking
were
at
the
top
same,
line.
they were the same salary, but we changed
No,
the
no, what-
definition of the,
the 103 was 50,000 and the 1188 is 59,000.
Yes.
right, but that was, because that was a 2024 salary, if you look at that. For
Yeah.
2026, it would be the same amount.
Okay.
We just changed the title.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's gonna do different
Yep.
duties. that's
Right,
all.
and it's 2 years, so longevity increase.
Yep. All right, great description there. Anybody have any more questions for Sarah on the mental health budget?
So public health, this is not fun. It's not happy. So Chairman Pepe, you and Legislator Pollock both know very well the crisis in healthcare at the moment. And as Commissioner Beck alluded to, it's only going to get worse with cuts in Medicaid and SNAP. The Public Health Department is by law, statute, and regulated to provide those safety net supports for individuals who cannot access healthcare outside of regular avenues. So when I say that, if somebody is seeking vaccinations, lead testing, they are seeking treatment for tuberculosis or any other kind of medical care, and they do not have insurance to cover those Article 6 mandatory required programs, it is my responsibility as the public health director in this county to make sure that they receive those services regardless of their health insurance. We are seeing anywhere between 8 to 14 patients twice a week for our vaccine clinics. That's a lot when you think about how many healthcare facilities we have in the county.
Yeah.
So those are children, those are your children's friends that are going to school with them. Those are your parents' neighbors who can't get into their own primary care because they can't get a flu shot or a shot for shingles or any of the required vaccines that our seniors need as well. So when we look at what Commissioner Beck talked about, those cuts to healthcare and to food insecurities fall in my department and my lap. When people are hungry, when people are sick and they can't access healthcare, they come to our department. Moving to Amsterdam, we are already getting phone calls from school districts and community members about setting up services with us for programming once we are fully operational and up and running in Amsterdam. It is going to explode our caseload. We are meeting with the school districts, not just Amsterdam, but all of our school districts in the county to have discussions with them about providers who are aging out of the workforce, especially in the western part of the county, and they can no longer provide primary care and or vaccinations. We had a prominent pediatrician in the area move out of Fort Plain, and it caused a backlog of about 48 unvaccinated children in the western part of our county that could not attend school because they did not have primary care.
Oh, my Lord, yeah.
So they came to us.
Yep.
We worked let me rephrase that. My one BSN and my one LPN worked 5 days doing nothing but vaccinating every single day children who needed vaccines in order to get back to school. I have one BSN and one LPN, and my RN position was cut out of the budget.
Doesn't take that long on the phone.
Pop and drop. So I'm very concerned that that was removed, and I understand that we need to save money, but what I would like to point out is when you cut my appropriations, you also cut my revenue, because my RN is 100% fully state aid reimbursable by New York State Department of Health. I have not been able to fill it because the salary is so low. Again, I think the two of you fully understand the demand for healthcare. An RN at St. Mary's Hospital can start today making $39 an hour working 32 hours a week. If that was 35 hours a week, I was doing the math in the back, it would be a salary of $70,000. and we are offering a nurse $57,000. It's kind of a slap in the face. I've worked tirelessly for 2 years with previous county executives as well as our personnel office, and I was dismayed because in 2023, Resolution 171 gave 17 employees in DPW raises that well equated to almost $80,000. And I'm asking for $10,000 in this line and can't seem to come up with $10,000 of a salary increase that would allow me to hire somebody. In 2 years that this position has been open, I've had 2 candidates. They both turned the position down because the salary was not negotiable and they could work less hours someplace else and make more money. Our millennials and our nurses nowadays, they don't want benefits. They don't want time off. They don't want retirement. They want money in their pocket. And I think having individuals on this board who understand healthcare, because you are ingrained in it, I ask for your support in assisting in getting that salary to something comparable in the private sector. Please don't bring up the salary study, because the salary study, in my opinion, I already did it myself. I Googled salaries at St. Mary's Hospital, $39 an hour for 32 hours. And the salary that was presented, the study, is already 4 years old. So it's null and void at this point. So when we're looking at that position, we are not going to be able to keep up with the demand once we move to Amsterdam. And I cannot continue to ask the 2 nurses that I have to work more for the same amount of money. They don't get overtime. If they worked at St. Mary's or Nathan Latour, they would get overtime. They don't want comp time. They want money in their pocket.
I would say to that note, my overtime and my comp time are up because my nurses are working 5 to 10 hours a week comp time because we're short-staffed. It was kind of mentioned to me, well, that position was caught in your budget because it's been vacant since 2023, so obviously you don't need it. That's not true. It's not that we don't need it, it's that we haven't been able to fill it. And then the staff we have are working.
Right.
It's costing us time and a half for every hour that they're working. Yes, they're earning comp time, but they're earning that at a superior rate than what we would pay this other person.
And
the other person, again, would be grant and state aid funded.
And as the director of the department, I am not beneath doing anything. I've been known to clean toilets and take out garbage. I did it for 4 years during COVID. And I am processing paperwork for individuals who are coming in our office because I don't have the nursing staff to sit with individuals and do health screenings.
Gotcha.
So I think
Make a
to what
compelling
Sarah
case.
said, to
Yeah.
that point, you cut my appropriation, you cut those lines out, you didn't cut the revenue side. So you're not balancing my budget. Because if I don't have that nurse, we're not getting that money back. The state's not just giving me $70,000 and I can use it somewhere else.
Right.
If I don't have that position filled, we're just not getting that $70,000. And our county, community residents are suffering. They're the ones that are bearing.
So
the
in
burden.
my public health budget, I am asking you to reinstate that position, and I'm asking you to consider giving it a $10,000 raise so that I can hire somebody. And I've never, in 10 years, this is my 10th budget, if I make it to November 3rd, I will have been here 10 years, I've never asked for raises for my employees, ever. I've accepted what they have been given as part of their bargaining.
Connie, which line is it?
For my community health nurse,
Is it the 334? No.
356.
358 on the regular page, 70% was gonna come out of my state aid, and then 30% was coming out of my lead grant as well. So it would have been page 22, line
I'm on
356, where the 46,289 was taken out.
Yes.
And then on page 24, where the line 353, the 19,838 was taken out.
So you can see the salary is fully funded by
Yep.
state aid and a grant.
353, what is it? Page 24, what was the line?
Page 24, it's way at the bottom, lead grant, it's the third one down, or second one down, community health nurse.
Got you.
Where it said
Okay.
19,838, and now it says 0, that's the one.
Now, is the 100 out of the revenue too,
Not that I'm aware
in your
of.
budget?
I'm not aware that my revenue was changed, was it, Sean? No.
No, the revenue
The grant-
actually went up.
The grant revenue was reduced, I believe.
Yes, the grant revenue was reduced. So all you really did is
Yes.
take the money out and take it out of the top. It didn't
Yes.
change anything.
Came out of both sides of the ledger.
in turn, what my suggestion was when we were asked about it was to, cut my tuition under my, preschool line. Again, I try my best to do the best accurate position, I can on that one, but 3.6 million, if I'm short come November of next year, I don't have no problem coming back here and saying,
Right.
I'm gonna need another 100,000, if we're gonna cut something, I feel that's the line to cut it in, that's the line that I probably have the most give and take in, because that's dependent on how many kids are enrolled and how many kids aren't.
Right.
I did do a quick enrollment for my 10-month session right now, for my kids that are enrolled just center-based alone, it's costing approximately $220,000 a month. Again, that's state mandated, we have to pay for that.
Babies are coming up.
I did a nice little chart, I don't know if you guys get this, I give it to the county executive, but it shows kind of what the public health department costs the county and why. 85% of my whole budget is children with special health care needs, is preschool children. About 10% is EI, those are children under 2, and then altogether 7%. The rest of everything else we do in public health costs the county 7% of my budget.
Which in dollars is $140,000, so it only costs $140,000 of general fund to run the nursing services at the public health department.
And that's my nurses, that's your fiscal staff, that's your, everybody except for your preschool and your EI staff, because those are non-state aid eligible.
Sean, what line is that grant in? Is it
Way at the
combined
top.
with something else? It's not a
Nope.
standalone.
At the top, 340105, it was a 283.3, you can see he lowered it to 263,462. So he did lower it by the 19 and change that was coming out. But the state aid, the 577.5, you'd have to take the 40, not 6,000 out of that line to really budget, to really balance this, and that wasn't done.
And that is our base grant, so we need to spend that, we need to hit that 577 in order to get our reimbursements. And without being full staffed or having salaries that are comparable and competitive with surrounding businesses, we're not gonna hit that 577. And so we will be under and losing money by
Right.
not having people in seats.
I think to Sarah's point, as far as the healthcare and the salary study, not only is a 4-year-old salary study at this point probably moot and irrelevant, but as far as healthcare workers go, it's very irrelevant, because
Oh, yeah, no,
that,
that I
all
would,
these hospitals, all these private, they're giving bonuses, they're paying big money, we can't attract somebody because they've got the money to
well,
throw
let me
at
tell you
these
something.
positions.
Hospitals have trouble attracting nurses. Do you know that our, line item for that, you know, rent a, whatever you wanna call it, agency
Like travel
nurses
I do,
is,
I do.
it was, I mean, there's some doctors in there too, but it was running $1 million a month. You know what I mean? And most of it was nursing. So
Right. So if you
they're
think about
scarce.
that-
There's a paucity of them, period.
Absolutely, but if
in
you
the
think about that,
marketplace.
they have the capacity as an agency nurse to make anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour, and we're offering less than 35 an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
So, and again, with Commissioner Beck talking about what is going to happen at a federal level, I am the safety net. And I'm going to use a line that Commissioner Mead said to me today that I have said to him several times. We are not all equal. And I hate to say that sitting here in front of you all, but our departments are not all equal. I have money to spend on personnel and staffing and my department. And I feel very sorry for departments that don't, but I do. And I feel oftentimes that we are punished because we bring money into the county and have money to spend on our personnel and our staff and our infrastructure.
And to Sarah's point, just to bring it back full circle, we have started also getting fringe back. Starting in 2022, state aid recognized the awesome cost of fringe for counties,
Yeah.
and they did start letting us claim up to 50% of fringe per quarter. So in 2024, I recouped 124,493 of that, and year to date, we've recouped 95,500 fringe.
And where do you recognize that on your,
I recognize it on my state aid, and
Okay.
then it goes back into, I'm not sure where it goes back into,
okay,
but
that's where you,
Right.
that's where you deposit it once
Mhm.
you get
it goes into
reimbursed.
the 577.5 line that you see,
Okay.
the state aid line, yes.
I'm just got a little mental block with the grant thing. If by cutting them out, the grant was, $100,000 worth of grant is cut out, I don't see the $100,000 reduction in any grant line item.
It wasn't 100,000.
I know it's only 20 here, but I mean.
Right. That position was 30% gonna be the lead grant,
Yeah.
which was 19,000 and change, and then 46,000, so 70% was gonna be state aid. So that's on page
Okay.
22.
So it's just
So-
our share.
He just, right, all that's shown on the revenue is they did cut the grant line.
Yeah.
But your 577.5, if you take that position away, you gotta lower that by 46,000,
Okay.
because I'm not gonna get that.
Understood. All right.
And again, on my revenues, I printed an updated one, I don't know what you guys have. But we just ended the third quarter, so I just got all my grant claims, in. I don't have my state aid done yet. It will be done by the end of tomorrow. So I have realized 65% of my revenue today
Good.
on the public health side.
Okay.
And we are always the first county in New York State to submit our state aid application, just to put that little plug in there.
I would have no other expectation. But that's excellent, that's excellent news. All right, questions for anybody?
This is really hasn't to do with mental or public health, but we've heard from department heads in the past, our employees don't want benefits, they want money in the pocket. I'm thinking that's something that we're gonna need to start negotiating with the unions. If you can't retain someone because we're giving you a benefit, well, then we're gonna have to increase your insurance, you know, what you have to pay in insurance,
Mhm.
in order to give you more of a salary. And if that's, you know, if that's the case, that's what we're gonna need to do, because I see that more and more.
I'd like to make a comment just, and I'm not union anymore, but I will say I think, letting the insurance buyout go out of the contract the last time was a huge mistake on the county's part. Because I think when you have employees right now who might opt out of our insurance, which saves you 70% over the time, and take their, spouse's insurance, but they're not now, because they're like, well, my spouse can get the buyout wherever they're working, so I'm gonna take the insurance here. So I really think you cut off your nose to spite your face there. I also think
That
it
was
was.
the union who.
Right, right.
That it wasn't us.
It wasn't us.
I also think it was a good marketing tool, because like when I started here, I came from the private sector. The salary was way less than what I was making privately, but to me, the insurance buyout at the end of the year made up for that. So I was willing to take a lower salary here, because I knew I was going to get that at the end of the year.
Right.
I just feel that was a big mistake overall, that came.
And people that we have lost in our department are not leaving us to go to other counties. So that's a big misconception, that, oh, people leave the county to go to another county. They're going into the private sector, because the private sector has more flexibility in pay. You can negotiate your salary, you can negotiate your work schedule. Simple things like, I have staff that would probably love to work 8 to 3:30, or other staff would like to work 9 to 4:30 because of childcare and childcare issues. And so we're not as marketable as we once were working in a county.
We
And-
got talking about this yesterday on a whole nother thing. How many hours a week, I know it varies by department, but you guys do 35 or 40, what is it?
35.
Okay.
But we also have on-call, and yes, our staff does get a stipend for on-call, but there are times where individuals are on a call. I sign off on on-call sometimes for an additional 15 hours a week of on-call.
Yeah,
And they're taking calls at 3 in the morning, because
Yeah.
somebody's got a bat in their house.
Right.
They are getting called at all hours of the day,
I
of
can
the
call
night
for
and day.
that.
Huh?
I should call for that.
Yes.
And we're talking your wife.
Oh, sorry.
So that is my ask, and I've never come to you asking for salary increases. And just to point out, not for nothing, page 3 of the charter, letter G, states that the legislator is in charge of setting those salaries and negotiating them and putting them into the budget. So just for your reference, it's page 3, letter G.
So,
Yes.
Chair,
yes.
along with that position, that nurse's position, if it is fully funded,
I'm sorry.
who's setting the salary cap? Is it personnel?
Yes, but
Okay.
according to the charter on page 3, letter G, it should be the legislature.
We actually tried to get raises for all 3 of
The
our nursing
legislature
positions this
does it
year, we were
based-
told no.
On the recommendation of the administration, right? I mean, to expect us to have our hands
Yeah.
on the pulse of your department and everybody else's, we gotta do it based on recommendations from the executive, from the department heads.
We should,
Yes,
we should.
yes,
We control the purse strings.
yes.
Back to my.
Based
early
on
days.
sound recommendations by those who
Hopefully.
run this place,
Hopefully.
yes. So, that's subject to interpretation, but.
Just my own point or state of mind, do you know how to get a hold of the salary study? I've never seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Is it available to the public? Like
That's a good
everything,
question.
should it not be open to the public? I'm sure it was paid for with county dollars.
would imagine it's a foil thing.
Why are you concerned about that?
Because I'd like to see what the salary study said the nurses should be paid. We're
Oh, in
we're being
your
told
world. I thought
that
you
your
were talking
nurses are
about-
getting enough, but yet we've never seen the study that says they're getting enough.
You never saw the study that's, okay.
Never seen any of it.
That's good to know. Anybody else? Questions? All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, they don't do those. I almost broke a nail. Workers' comp.
We're gonna have to cut that line over and put everything else back in.
Oh, goodness. All right,
One thing that was said about, you know, Brian brought up about the contract thing, that if people don't want benefits, then why don't we start looking at contractual, or people being contract employees?
I still just can't get over the fact that I'm being told what my job is while somebody's asking for money.
No, but I'm just.
You know what I mean? It's like-
Megan, am I wrong in that question?
Jesus God almighty, that was,
Contract employees, that runs into some union issues, you gotta do the research on that.
Well, I think we need to look at it, because we're hearing this all the time.
Yeah.
My employees don't want benefits, they don't want time off, they want dollars in the pocket,
Never
which
heard
is so short-sighted.
Change the revolving door.
Well, and I'll
I would
even
like
say-
health insurance, I would like
Yeah.
retirement.
When you get our age, you're gonna want those things.
I'm not your age.
But I will
I
say,
want
even
that.
on the city side, we're seeing the same exact
That's what
thing.
I'm saying.
It's,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
it's,
That baffles me.
and we've actually, the
Yeah.
city has gotten more.
It's because they don't look at the
Contract.
future, they're looking
Yes.
now,
Yes.
and that's it. So-
But then 20 years down the road, they say, oh, I should have signed that paper for my retirement,
And now I can't
now
afford
I
it.
can't do it.
Or
No, I
what's
can't
happening
afford
is
it,
people
so
are
the
leaving
state
and then
can
they
pay for
come
it.
back as
Well, if you-
subcontractors.
right,
And they're making more money than a
Right.
person who's in that position right now.
right. So listen, we're still live
We're
here.
still out.
So, all right, well, listen,
What's our next thing?
our next thing is, we have our meeting next Tuesday, and then we're supposed to do our,
Yeah, do your worksheets.
we got our worksheets.
What
I
do the
mean,
worksheets do?
we're at a point where we can do worksheets now, I would say, right?
Yes.
We've met our departments, we know, you know, what we may wanna add or subtract out, and,
And have we gotten a list of corrections
I
already?
will give that to Pat tomorrow.
Okay.
And
There's
then,
very few, there's just the two positions, and there's a line or two in mine filling out, so.
But if you put
and
in-
then,
Maybe it's only 4 lines.
can you send that out?
Of course.
How far?
I can send, when I send it to Pat, I can send it to everybody.
But then if we put back in everything that everybody else wanted, we're only gonna be about $3 or $4 million higher than we are.
yeah, that's all.
Only 3 or 4 million.
What's the next deadline? Is, once they fill them out, does it happen that sheet goes reviewed on the 3rd, the 4th of November when we meet?
I think there's like,
No,
Tuesday night.
trying to help.
It's gonna be Tuesday night, the 28th,
Is
this
it?
coming Tuesday?
I think so.
Should say straw votes on the schedule, whatever was that straw votes.
I thought it was
Straw votes were on the 28th.
After our meeting.
Yeah, so we have to get those to you before 4 o'clock on Tuesday.
That's this coming Tuesday. Are you guys hearing that?
let's make sure of this here.
By this coming Tuesday, which means by Monday.
I've got it written on my calendar that says straw votes on the 28th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means these sheets have to be submitted before then so that they can be conglomerated and before our eyes to vote aye or nay on these.
So you want them Friday, Pat?
Sure.
No, I can't do it Friday.
I'm
Friday.
kidding. I'll take
Monday morning?
piecemeal. That's fine. Just so I have time to have them prepared for Tuesday, that's all.
I promise I won't
Monday
make so
noon?
many that we have for dissertation again.
No, please do.
We won't be scolded this year.
You weren't scolded.
Yes, we were.
All right, anything else anybody wants to talk about?
Did we do that letter? Did the finance chair write the letter? There's a letter we're supposed to write about the budget and,
Yeah, not yet.
okay.
It's a boilerplate letter.
Yeah,
I don't know anything.
It should be in there, and you probably issued it last year as well.
no, I did not.
No.
That's why I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
I got,
It's just,
So I have no idea, I'll need to talk to.
and our internet is terrible, so I can't just pull up the document
I
and
don't know
search it.
where it would be stored in a former directory of Cheryl's, but there is a boilerplate letter that
Yeah, it's
we
saying
put
that,
new amounts into and everything.
yeah, we looked at the
Who does
county
this letter
executive
go to?
budget.
It's to the executive, I believe.
Maybe the charter's hard copy here.
Yeah.
Page 3.
Section G.
B, section B.
Section G. Okay, I'll look at that tomorrow, the letter,
Yes,
the finance letter.
it's just gotta be dusted off with new amounts put in it.
And does legislator Majewski sign that?
Yes.
Yes, as chairman of the finance committee.
Thank you.
All right, anything else anybody wants to talk about?